Hey, how you doing? Good to be back. It's Scott Penfold here for another edition of the Loaded Radio podcast. And this one is another killer one this week, man. I mean, we're bringing out the killer episodes lately, seriously. And by I mean killer, I'm talking in the way of Doc Coyle from Bad Wolves, man. Killer guitar player from not just Bad Wolves, but also, God forbid, he was just doing some time with Ice Nine Kills on the road there for the big Metallica M72 tour. And yeah, man, always good to talk to Doc Coyle, an absolutely killer guy. And also a good broadcaster too. Has his own podcast called The X-Man with Doc Coyle, so you can check that out as well online. But yeah, before we get into talking with Doc, I want to remind you to check out loadedradio.com daily for all your hard rock and metal news, constantly updated 24/7 as well. The 24/7 live radio stream is going there for you too, featuring live personalities and big name interviews. And you can as well, don't forget to download the Loaded Radio app. You can get past episodes of this podcast, the radio station there on there as well, streaming 24/7, and all your hard rock and metal news sent straight to your device, okay? Now, if you're listening to this podcast via YouTube, give us a thumbs up and even subscribe to the channel if you dig. But if you're listening via any other way, then just sit back and relax as I speak with this guy here. He is the guitar player, or one of the guitar players from the band Bad Wolves. They have the new album out now called Die About It. They're second with new frontman Daniel Laskiewicz. He's also the guitar player for God Forbid, and as well The Wedding Band, which features a couple of members of Metallica, being Kirk Hammett and Robert Trujillo. Of course, I'm talking about Doc Coyle. Doc, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast this week.
Doing all right. Thanks for having me.
Now, before we jump into the album, I did want to ask about DL, Daniel Laskiewicz, lead singer of the band, also a killer producer and guitarist, as we heard with this stuff with ACACIA Strain. But how is it working with him in the studio?
DL tends to do a lot of stuff like, if for songs he's working on, he'll like work on stuff on his own, or like a few of the songs were originally his songs that he had, like even before the band, that kind of reworked. So a lot of the stuff, we do a lot of the instrumentals we record with Max, our guitar player who's was in the band and out of the band and back to the band, out of the band again.
Right. Yeah.
But we do a lot of the instrumentals with him. But the primary production is handled by Joseph McQueen and Josh, formerly of As I Lay Dying, currently in Spirit Box. They're like a production team.
Right.
And so they've worked on pretty much most of the Bad Wolves albums, but probably had the most to do with this record. We spent a lot of time with them, kind of taking even the instrumentals we did with Max. We spent a whole month in the studio just like getting that together, re-recording guitars, doing most of the vocals, but then sometimes DL will record some stuff on his own because we always end up having more songs to do at the end of it,
Right. A great producer, man. Has there ever been talk of him maybe taking on that role at some point?
Yeah, I mean, there were talks early on with this record about maybe going to his, home studio in Massachusetts. And, I don't know exactly why we didn't do that or what, but I guess whatever methodology we decided to utilize just ended up being the path. But it's definitely something we brought up. And even we were there like getting ready for a tour, and we were down in the studio, and him and John were like working on riffs, and kind of like things were just coming out naturally, but I could certainly see something like that in the future, just depending on the situation. But
getting into the album itself, though, tell me about the title track first off. I dig the song, really taking your stance on the trolls and the haters kind of a deal. Tell me about the track.
I mean, it's one of my favorite songs on the album. The things I like about it mainly is just it feels a little different for the band. It feels like, it still sounds like the band. It feels like something we could do, but creatively, I think we're kind of pushing out on the edges a little bit. And I just like that its song just has attitude. It's kind of a fuck you track, and that gets me going personally. I like having stuff that has a little bit of an edge, and also, lyrically, it's, confronting, stuff that DL especially wanted to get off his chest, and I'm glad that he's using the platform of the band to kind of to speak his mind and speak to some of the stuff that's bothering him. And it's I say you have to confront that stuff head on, and hopefully people connect with it. But it's one of my favorite songs. It's just got some mean in it.
It does. Do you find that something that Bad Wolves have been dealing with? Would it be something like internet haters or some trolls? Obviously everyone's going to get it the bigger you get, but do you find that you guys have been getting that more frequently recently, or what brought it on?
Just the member change. I'd say so for the past 2 years. It was really bad when everything went down, and for that first kind of year. It was really, really bad. And it's definitely died down a lot. But I think every time we get like active again and start doing things, putting out new songs, maybe doing new tours, then it kind of like, it's like there's an active kind of, I don't know how to put it. There's activity that is like purposely put out there to kind of knock us down a peg to some degree. So I think it's just something we're always going to have to deal with as long as we're a band. And it's certain bands, it's just how it is. You just have to kind of deal with the hand you're dealt. And, it's not fun, but you have to figure out a way to exist with it and figure out how you mentally you're going to go, okay, this is just part of the deal. And you can't let it knock you off your game, and take it to, it's the internet. It's not real. We go out and we do shows and everyone's happy and everyone's smiling. And everything's cool, but we live in a digital world. And I think it's something as a society, we haven't really totally be able to wrap our heads around how to deal with that, in terms of just the mental health part of it. I think even too of just like, not even just with us, but just people feeling like it's okay to be mean to people just because they're on the internet. It's something like I feel like we need to work on collectively to like just be better to each other, Yeah,
definitely. And it's something that, I've even seen grown just so much in the last number of years. I guess people feeling that they have that freedom that they can do that. It's but it does have an effect on mental health. A lot of artists I know, like Wolfgang Van Halen has been one who's spoken about it before too. It's just where it can get to you. Like, what do you do to shut that out?
Well, there's only a few things you can do, right? So you can do what Wolfgang does, which he confronts the people a lot, right? He'll just straight up, on Twitter, he'll just, quote tweet someone and kind of, stuff them in a locker. Yeah. You can do that. You do your best to ignore it. I think if you do that, it tends to manifest itself in other ways. Like you can you can, I think people pretend not to care, and I think if someone's criticizing you in a crappy way, right, online, I don't think it hurts you if it doesn't feel like accurate, where it's like they say something like that's not really true. But if it's something that maybe hits home, where you're like, oh, maybe, if you're insecure about something and someone comes out to you about that thing, it'll hit a little different, so you can ignore it. Or you can be someone who just doesn't go on the internet, doesn't read the comments, doesn't read doesn't interact. And just, some people in bands don't even have social media and they're probably happier for it. But for a lot of people on our level, we can't really afford to do that, right? We have to be able to promote the band. And it's also, when it's working well, it's a great tool to connect with the fans, so it's like sometimes it's important to read comments and see kind of immediate feedback and see like what's working, what's not working. Do people like something? Do they not like it? So it's using that as a barometer is helpful, but if that water is kind of muddied, it can certainly make the experience not very fun sometimes, so. But I just think it's a challenge that we deal with in this band, and we try and work through it and soldier through it, and and focus on the positive if you can. But it makes your skin very thick. I'll tell you that.
You got to tell me about the track "Bad Friend" because I think it's a great track, man. A really, really big fan of that one. What can you tell me about that one? How it came about?
So it came about. John was actually doing a session with Javier from Animals as Leaders, and cool. they came up with like the bulk of the main riff and I think a bit of the chorus and stuff. And yeah, it was one of the songs that kind of came late in like our recording sessions. And we kind of repieced it together with Max in the studio, and Josh helped us out a lot with that song, helped to work on the chorus and just get it together and build it. And it just felt something about it. We knew right away, we're like, this is the first song we want people to hear from this record, because it's like just nasty and heavy and got that, that main riff is a real, I think, mission statement.
Oh, it's killer. Yeah.
It's something that really is attention grabbing. But then it's an extremely hooky, song melodically. And it kind of works on all these levels, where, I don't know, some people might throw them off. They hear the super heaviness of the riff and they want screaming and craziness. But I think we're the kind of band where we can kind of blend that and make it work on another level. But yeah, one of my favorite tracks across the board, we were like, this is opening the record. This is what we're going to show people first. And we're going to, we're going to probably open the set on this next tour with it, come out swinging. So yeah, it's just a great song. And like, the line, my favorite line on the whole record, "Bad Friends Die Alone," that's just a very powerful thing to me, just about, karma, I guess. Like, well, not just karma, but also like we all make our own beds. Right? Like if you're an honorable person and you treat people with respect and kindness, you're more likely going to be surrounded by people who, return that to you, And so it's like this circle of kind of good energy, and kind of if you betray that, then you're going to find yourself standing by yourself and looking around like Will Smith in that house, in that empty house.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I've met them before because of her band, Wicked Wisdom, and they were so nice to me. It's like I always feel like it's not like just some random celebrities to me. It's like I've met them; they're very cool people. So I feel bad being like invested in the celebrity gossip element with them.
Yeah, of course. I get you. Has DL really settled into his position within the band by now? Do you think? Like, has it really sort of started to feel fluid with him?
Yeah, I mean, I think with him, it's just every song he works on, it moves forward. Every tour, he moves forward. Just as he keeps going, he gets better and better and more comfortable and more comfortable. And that's what it is. I mean, just with anything, you just need reps, so obviously I think if you just listen to his vocals, he's like taking leaps and bounds ahead of the last record in terms of what he's doing vocally. But also just his role as the front man on stage, he's lost like almost 40 pounds.
Yeah.
So he's really committed to that. And I think that, when you get in shape and you're looking good and you're kicking ass, I think that, that kind of confidence tends to, support other things, and it makes everything else work better as well, So, and I feel like this record, it really is his album in many ways, in terms of, what the focus of the album is, what creatively he's trying to get across. And, his vocals are my favorite thing about the album, and so I think it's really his place to like shine and be at the forefront and kind of take ownership of the whole band. And that's really important. And it's great. It's great to see, man. He's so talented. Like it's out of control. Like I feel like a peon compared to him.
Well, I mean, looking at the last band he was in, I mean, it's quite a difference. I mean, was it a bit of culture shock for him at first?
No, I mean, I just think the role is different. But I think, it's interesting. Like, he comes from ACACIA STRAIN, which is an insanely heavy band.
Yeah.
And he can write like the craziest heavy stuff. But with this band, he wants it to be the most poppy and the most commercial, the most like, so we're like, it's this, every band is kind of a bit of a tug of war in terms of like, this guy wants this direction, this guy wants this direction, and so on and so forth. And I think like being that he was in such a heavy band and has done a lot of stuff like that, I think this is his chance to kind of explore this other side of things and really go for it. And that's the energy he's feeling, and so, and at the end of the day, like that's what it is. Like each band member is going to have wherever they're at musically, then hopefully you find some kind of triangulation between everyone, and you never know what that's going to be. That's why I always say, like, you can't at the beginning go like, oh, the record's going to be this. You don't really know, until you just have to like make the stuff and let it lead you to some degree than trying to go like force it to be blank. This album is going to be our heaviest record. And it's like, well, if that's not naturally what's coming out, then it's probably not going to be great, Yeah. So you really have to let the creativity lead you to where it goes, and if somewhere exciting, maybe that's you don't even know what that's going to be, and I think that's actually the most exciting thing. So a lot of people ask, oh, is this your heaviest record, or is it this? I'm like, I don't even want to say that. I mean, maybe it is, but I don't. Maybe what's heavy to me isn't heavy to you. Maybe, do you know what I'm saying? Like yeah. It's in many ways, I want people to like, you listen to it and you get out of it what you think it is, and you tell me. If you,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I that's my approach with it.
Well, the term heavy is relative, really, you know, when you think about it. Like some people would consider, like, for example, like Bon Jovi heavy, even possibly. Well, some would consider maybe like Morbid Angel, that would be heavy. I mean, again, it's really comes down to relative, right?
Sure, absolutely.
You guys hitting the road with Bush, and you get the new album coming out. Did you guys ever take a break? It's been a busy year for you guys, man.
Well, I guess it depends how you look at it, because I've been out with Ice Nine Kills for
I know,
half the year. So it's been an extremely busy year for me. I think with the band, it was like, you know, the first, you know, probably 4 or 5 months, we were just doing the record. And they did a tour without me. That was like, you know, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks. And then, you know, we ended up having to cancel our tour with Asking Alexandria. So it's been a herky jerky year where it's like, we're busy, but we're not, but we're busy and we're not. And, you know, but it is kind of coming fast with the record and the Bush tour. And really, like, when that tour got canceled, I just went into full on like promote the record mode and just, you know, online content creation, you know, fan kind of connections, and just trying to like, and build like a momentum, build a story, not on the road, which is kind of difficult and just getting like a narrative going and get people talking and doing things like this, doing interviews, getting out there the best we can. So yeah, it's been busy, but yeah, I was thinking about this. We put out 4 albums in 5 years, which is kind of insane. So
this day and age, yeah, it is.
I feel like in any, you know, unless I guess back in the day, like the Beatles were putting out sometimes 2 records in a year. Yeah. but they didn't, you know, they would do like one tour. They do the record, they tour America, tour Europe, and that was it, you know? Yeah. So it's you know, it's kind of breakneck, you know, the way the band has worked. You know, it's in hindsight, I'm like, damn, we haven't really had much time off the last 5 years. It's been insane.
You did mention the Ice Nine Kills thing. I did want to ask how you got hooked up with the Ice Nine Kills guys for the big Metallica tour. Like, that must have been great, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I've been friends with Spencer, you know, for a few years, and you know, we share a management company, we share a lawyer, and you know, a spot opened up, you know, with Dan coming down with some pretty serious health concerns, and you know, they brought me in to play lead, and it was kind of a there wasn't a lot of time, you know, and the stuff was really, really challenging. So they ended up bringing in another lead guitar player, but then keeping me on as like rhythm, and they really liked me for my background vocals and singing and harmonies and things like that. And so, you know, so basically we had 3 guitar players out on the tour, and yeah, it was awesome, man. It was but no time off. I mean, we did 3 tours back to back to back. I think 8 days off total in between those tours. And it's like a whirlwind. It's like, now I'm like, did it even happen? You know, it was awesome. It was a grind, but it was really great. They're very, very cool people, very talented. Their operation is very professional. And just having that opportunity to, you know, it'll be the second time I toured with Metallica, but in those stadiums, that's like a once in a lifetime type of thing, you know? So just having that opportunity is, I don't know, I'm just super, super grateful, you know, and, you know, just I like doing different things, you know, and having different experiences, you know. That's something I really get a lot out of, you know, because I've been doing it a long time, and, you know, just to have things like that come to you later in your career, and then the way this industry works, it's like you do one thing and that leads to the next thing. And then that, you know what I'm saying? Opportunities create more opportunities, and you meet more people and get into different camps. And it's really cool, especially because they're like a younger band, you know, their audience is younger. So like, I'm getting exposed to a new audience. Their audience is being exposed to me. And that's awesome. You know, their fans are so nice too. They're so supportive. It's been really cool to be a part of that.
And they're very theatrical too. I mean, they really, especially with the latest tour. I mean, like the girl cutting her face off and stuff. I mean, really, really cool stuff, dude. Like, is that different for you being on stage with that amount of theatrics going on?
Dude, I remember the first show, you know, and we have to wear masks. Like we'll only wear them for like a minute, and then we'll like take them off, you know, during the song. And it's like maybe half a dozen songs during the set. And I just remember going out there and going, what the hell am I doing? I'm wearing a tuxedo, I got this mask on. I'm like, what the hell did I get myself into? It was actually kind of surreal. and this is the first show, so you got nerves and you're still like, figuring things out. And, it's kind of the whole thing kind of goes by like, flash before your eyes. And you're like, and at the end of it, you're like, all right, that's kind of cool, actually. And then, but it's like, it's weird because you just haven't been a part of that. And it's also like when you're an instrumentalist in something like that, there's so much going on. Like, you're a background player. You're not, it's not the spotlight is not on you. It is about Spencer and that show, and every song has something cool and dramatic and fun happening and violent and crazy. And it's about, and you're really there in support of this bigger thing. And so that's its own kind of head trip, is knowing like what your role is and how you can support that the best way. So many musicians can be, pretty egotistical and want the limelight. But you have to find a way to kind of like balance that. And, and I've been fortunate to be in a lot of band scenarios where you have different roles. Sometimes you're in a more leadership role, sometimes you're in a more front facing role, and sometimes you have to be in a supporting role and make sure that you're, and so that's like a really interesting part of it is like going, man, you're in this circus and it's like, no one's really paying attention to you. You can kind of just do your thing, and it's kind of cool, but just seeing it all, like half the time I sort of that first, like, week on tour, I'm like watching the show on stage. Like I'm a fan. I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah, right.
Wow. Focusing on playing guitar over here.
Even on the latest tour though, that with Metallica, did you have the chance to see the guys from Metallica at all? Any words passed there or?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm in a band with Rob and Kirk, so I'm pretty tight with those guys. So I would like more like, we'd maybe get in touch on like days off, like the show days. I'd almost like not want to bother them because they're running and gunning. They're like, they have somewhere to be, and they're, I just generally tried not to bother them, but they would pretty much always, James would come in our dressing room, say hello, chat for a few minutes. Kirk would come in, say hello, same thing, hang out for a few minutes. We got to, one time we were in Europe and we were heading to the stage. We're all in our stage getup and they were taking a photo like somewhere on the field, and we were kind of going past each other, and we just stopped and started like shooting the shit for like, 5-6 minutes. And we're like late. We're like supposed to be going on.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't think you're going anywhere until Metallica lets you. And that was I get a kick out of it. For the other guys, because I've known these guys for a while, and I've gotten a chance to hang out with them. But I get a kick out of seeing the guys in Ice Nine hang out with them because they're just so happy and excited, as well they should be. And it's just it's cool to be like, kind of a shepherd of these guys having that, because that's just them getting the invite for that tour is unbelievable. And it is such a a notch on their belt, for such an accomplishment, but then that also have that interface and feel like they're appreciated and wanted and respected on the tour. And Metallica is that kind of band. They take the time out to connect with the bands they bring out. They they would have these dinners and like kind of after show things, and those are and everyone would be there, all the bands hanging out, really generous generous with their time, generous with just everything, man. It's quite an experience, I have to say that.
Nice. Well, speaking of, what is the status of the wedding band? Is that still a thing?
Yeah, so the pandemic happened, and pretty much right out of that, we did one show. We did two. I think we did two shows post-pandemic, and they were really wrapped up in the new Metallica album. So I think with that, this whole year, it's been like the launch of that record. And when they're on an album cycle, they are working. They are so busy. They're doing big press. They're this tour is so massive. There's just the amount of work they do not besides just playing and all that is insane. So I think they really wanted to keep the focus on Metallica this year and not have anything that was a distraction. I'm just guessing that. I haven't even had the conversation with them about that, but I'm just presuming that's the idea. But there are talks about doing stuff next year. I don't want to give away too much because I don't even have dates or anything. I'm just hearing there's some talk about early next year, but I don't have anything solid, but I'm hoping it happens because it's a lot of fun anytime we get a chance to do that.
I do got to bring up God Forbid, man. What's happening there?
We are doing the Headbangers Boat and leaves from Miami, and that's Lamb of God's cruise. It's Lamb of God, Testament, Mastodon, Hatebreed, Shadows Fall, Municipal Waste, Guar, Bleed from Within, so many bands, Malevolence. It's going to be awesome. And then we're doing, and Lacuna Coil's on it too. And so we're doing a couple warm-up dates with Lacuna Coil in Florida and one show with Hatebreed in West Palm Beach. And so we're pretty much gearing up. I leave in like 10 days from now. So I have to start getting ready, getting the fingers warmed up. I haven't even practiced any of my damn God Forbid songs really very much. So. Luckily I've been playing them for 20 plus years. So they're kind of in the bones a little bit, but I'm excited. It's like anytime we get a chance to do something with the band, it's really gratifying. And this is the first reunion we did. We did one show. Then early this year we did 2 shows, and now we're doing 6. So it's kind of ramping up a little bit.
So is new music on the way then?
Nothing officially. We've essentially been taking things like one event at a time. And I think, because for some of the guys, it's just they have kids, they have jobs. It's not the easiest thing for them to really invest a lot of time into this. So I don't want to presume that people can do that. Like, I'd love to do it. But if we're going to do it, everyone has to kind of be on the same page, about taking on that responsibility, because it is, you sign a record deal, there are expectations, there are responsibilities with that. And you obviously, if we did something, you want it to be great. Like, you don't want it to be just pretty okay. You want it to really be something we commit to and take seriously. But there is interest on the table. So it's something, if we were, really ready for, there's great opportunities out there. And I think there's actually kind of a relevant desire and demand for the band right now, which is, for me, just very pleasantly surprising. I was really not expecting that. I'm just, it's just cool, because I feel like for a very long time we felt underappreciated, and it's cool that people seem like they're really into the band, and kind of, it's like you create this material and you see if it has any legs, you see if it stands the test of time. And I feel like our stuff has aged pretty well, and I never thought I'd have the opportunity to kind of do the things we're doing right now. So it's a real blessing. And I just love spending time with the guys. I love the guys, and just being on a pure friendship level. It's a real wonderful thing. Just
one last question here is, because I know a lot of fans are curious about this. Your original singer, Tommy Vext, recently saying he's been trying to make amends with the band. Has anything happened there yet? Have you guys spoken with him?
No.
Nothing at all, eh?
Did reach out to us. I think that was, for the internet, for the headlines.
It seemed to work.
Hey, people, listen, people want that, I get it. Like, I'm all about mending fences and saying, getting over drama and beef. I'm all about it, but there's efforts have to be made, real efforts, so you can kind of say it on the internet, but if you don't actually do the work, then I don't know how much it really means. It just sounds like PR to me, but we'll see. Like I said, I'm really focused on what we're doing. And, some of that might involve telling our story a little bit, because we just never really got a chance to tell our side of things, because some of it was like legal stuff. Some of it was trying to stay out of the mud. And, but we'll see what happens with that, but I think, we're stuck between a rock and a hard place. It's like, You don't talk about it, you're kind of boring. You do talk about it, you're starting trouble. And, you know, and the fans are like, you know, kids watching their parents argue. They just want everyone to get along, you know, so they don't really like it very much, which I get. I totally get it.
Awesome, Doc. Always a great time talking to you, man. It really is. And I look forward to seeing you, man. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much as well.
All right, there he is. That's Doc Coyle. He is the guitar player from Bad Wolves. The new album is called Die About It. It's out now, and it rips, dude. It's good. Straight up hard rock in your face. Good old sounding metal. You know, just like Mom used to make. Don't forget, check out loaderradio.com for all your hard rock and metal news as well. You can download the Loader Radio app completely free. Get all your news there, plus the 24-hour live radio stream with live personalities, including yours truly, and big-name interviews, okay? So, yeah, get it all online at loaderradio.com or wherever you get your apps, okay? But until next week, my friend, we'll talk then on an all-new edition of the Loader Radio podcast. I'm Scott Penfold, and we'll talk to you next week.
Loaded Radio.